This is the story of Naughty Codes. Naughty Codes wasn't his real name, of course. It was a moniker bestowed upon him by a particularly cynical colleague during his early days in it, a sarcastic nod to his meticulous, almost obsessive adherence to best practices and clean code. He was, in essence, the antithesis of Naughty Codes. Yet the name stuck, a persistent, low-humming irony that followed him through cubicles and server rooms. The thought was absurd, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. He looked at his reflection in the dark screen of his monitor. For the first time in a long time, he saw not just Naughty Codes, the IT guy, but a glimmer of Arthur Penelagon, a man on the precipice of a new, unexpected adventure. The network issue could wait. But some identities, he realized, were worth exploring, even if it crashed a few systems along the way. Was he Arthur Penelagon, the man who enjoyed quiet evenings with a well-thumbed sci-fi novel and a cup of lukewarm tea? Or was he Naughty Codes, the digital janitor who cleaned up the messes of others? The office was empty, save for the hum of the servers and the rhythmic click of his keyboard. And there, amidst a scattering of cables and empty coffee cups, lay a forgotten flyer for a local community theater group, advertising auditions for their next play, the importance of being earnest. The identity crisis wasn't sudden. It had crept up on him like a slow, insidious virus, corrupting his sense of self, bite by bite.
Hi there everyone, new video. Little bit of a change up here from my regular videos, but this one is related to Manus AI, that is. And as you can see on the screen, there is some prompts that I've already enabled in order to get the video that you've just seen to output. Now, I've never used Manus before. I've just signed up with my Google account, and as you can see right here at the bottom, it says share Manus with a friend and get 500 credits each. Didn't know that was possible, but it's possible now, and if you want, I can share a link with you, and then we can share and share alike. Anyway, let's get started. I decided to use Manus to create sort of a story for Naughty Codes, and the first question that I asked was, write me a short story about an average IT guy named Naughty Codes who is unsure of his identity. Then of course Manus popped out with something, and it said it will write a short story, deliver the short story, and so forth and so forth. So here you can see the first thing it was able to do was to think through the process, created an MD file for that, and then the first MD file was this, in which it created the Naughty Codes scene. And then what I asked it to do next was to, if I click that now, you will see that it created the story for me. And the story is Naughty Codes wasn't his real name, and I can go and read all this to you, but I guess it wouldn't be useful for you until you really see what the story is all about. So once I created the short story, I asked it to break it up into 5 scenes. The story should be 30 seconds to 1 minute in length. And then Manus came back and said, I will revise the story into 5 scenes, aiming for a 30 to 60 second real-time read time. And then it said it would revise the story into 5 scenes, deliver the revised story to the user, and it asked me I could interrupt at any time. So here you can see it is creating the story for me, creating the file, and here is the revised version. So the revised version started off with these 5 scenes, and the titles were Scene 1, the moniker; Scene 2, Identity Crisis; Scene 3, the flyer; Scene 4, A Spark of the Unknown; and Scene 5, New Adventure. Alright, so once it had done that, I then asked it to can you create a different version of the script but still keep the 5 scenes? So it will obviously go ahead and do that for you, and here it was the output. It says gave me 5 different scene options, and here the scene is the echo of a name. Scene 2 is the unseen self. Scene 3 was a glitch in the matrix. Scene 4 was beyond the firewall, and Scene 5 the universe within. Now all of this was AI generated by Manus, and I didn't have to touch a word of it until it came to the last part where it said create an image for scene 1. So I wanted it to create 5 images, and I think if you've seen my shorts, you would have seen some of the images that was put into there. But if you haven't seen the short, don't worry, it was in the video in the introduction. So create an image for scene 1, and then what I did was I just copied scene 1, but as you can see, this is the moniker and it's not the echo of the name. So I took the first output it did for me to start off with creating images for that, and so it created, I think it was 3 images at a time. But here it says I cannot generate images. Would you like to upgrade your subscription to unlock these features? Now I knew already that Manus could create images for me, so I opened up a new prompt. Here we go, here's the new prompt, and I think this was for scene, this wasn't for the first scene, I think. Let me click here we go, this was for the first scene. So I asked it to create the images for me, create a set of concept images for an animated short film that blends Japanese anime or whatever, American comic style and traditional ink painting in 3D Pixar CGI style based on scene 1. And scene 1 was, of course, if you had seen the reading or had stopped the video for that, it was the moniker Arthur Penhaligon, an IT guy by trade, was known as Naughty Codes, the iconic nickname given by a cynical colleague stuck despite his meticulous nature. His days were a blur of technical fixes, his will defined by logic and predictable outcomes, but lately a question gnawed at him. Was he just an extension of the machines he serviced? So then Manus was able to generate an image, and it generated 3 images, not from my calling, by the way. It created 3 images by itself. These are the 3 images below here, but it's interesting to see that when it was generating these images, it was doing it in Ubuntu. Now I had done this first run of Manus AI on my mobile device, and actually it was a Samsung tablet device, so I don't know if the Samsung tablet was running Ubuntu or Manus is running Ubuntu, but it definitely seems like, if I can get it right, I think they had set up a completely, I would say maybe a Docker install of Ubuntu in my question list here, and through there it created home Ubuntu. And I'm sure there's a way to hack through this, because how are you able to create a PNG file and then call it home Ubuntu? But I guess I don't know the innards of Manus AI to be able to do that. But in case, here was the 3 images they generated, and then it asked me, do I really want to turn this image into a website and deploy it permanently? It said I can create a website to showcase the concept images, however I cannot deploy it permanently. I can provide you with the website files and you can deploy them to your preferred hosting service. Now it gave me the rundown of how to do it over here. I did not follow that mechanism at the beginning. I halted first and I wanted to create images for the rest of the story. So I stopped short of asking them to do this for me, but I came back to this and that output was later. So I first want to go to the next prompt, which I did, which is not scene 5. The next prompt was scene 2. So here we go. Yep, this is the prompt for scene 2. Create a set of short script. So basically I copied and pasted the front section of the prompt which I did for scene 1 and just copied that over to scene 2 and copied the prompt for scene 2 into this, and it followed that instructions and created the next 3 images in the prompt for me. Now I don't know what this Manus computer thing over here is. It is an MD file, so they were creating their own, I'd say, runtime machine over here, but I have to venture and further discover what that really is before I go and tell you what it's all about. So it created the next 3 images for me, and I thought, well, after it's done scene 2, I want to go to scene 3, and this is what scene 3 looked like. So as you can see, again, I copied an introduction to it, gave it the same sort of styling that they should have given me before, and I asked it to create it from scene 3, and these were the 3 images it outputted for me. And as you can see, here's a bigger image, and once again, as you can see, that image was saved in home Ubuntu scene 3 underscore concept 3.png. So I think they're running this Manus AI on Ubuntu for some sorts. I don't know if they're doing it in a Docker or a separate container, but it would be interesting to know if this happens through all the discoveries or through all the prompts that I try to do with Manus. I'm not running this Manus browser through Ubuntu. I'm running it on Windows, so they must be definitely running Ubuntu on their side. So once the 3rd scene was over, I went to the 4th scene, and here you can see I asked the exact same question again with the exact same prompt, but this time for scene 4, and this time it only outputted 2 images for me, and I don't know why it did that, but I only got 2 images. I guess because the prompt was shorter for some reason. But anyway, I got 2 images, and as you can see, these are the 2 images they provided for me. And then I went to the last scene, which is scene 5, and of course scene 5 seemed to have been longer. Again, the same prompt used for the same character. There are slight differentiations between the character's face in some of the scenes, but it tries to keep a consistent pattern for the face. So this face looks the same as that face, because that face is looking into the mirror, and this face seems to be similar to those 2 images. If we go back to scene 4, that face and that face are the same, but is it really the same as that face? I guess it is. It's just different facial expressions. So this is scene 3. That one looks a little bit different to this one over here, and I'm sure you can see if I make it bigger, that face looks different to this face. It's either the nose or the eyes or everything, but definitely there's no consistency in the images. So it's something I got to work on to discover why Manus did that. Otherwise the prompt wasn't correct or something like that. And as you can see in the first scene, sorry, this is scene 2, the facial images look the same. In other words, the face expressions look the same. It looks very similar. That face looks the same to this face and this face, just with different facial expressions, but it's more or less the same. So I guess if you are doing a story like this and you keep the same prompt, you can more or less keep the same idea going, if that's possible, by keeping the same prompt and the same facial expressions. The same thing can be said for the first scene, no, for the first storyline. So there you go. So that's the first storyline of creating the story for you. And what I wanted to try and do here was just to show myself, at least, and the viewers, that through Manus AI you're able to create a short story by yourself, create a short script through Manus, and also generate images for free on Manus AI. Now, I want to go back to this where they asked me to do the website. So, where was that? Let me just give me a sec. It's not there. It's maybe on this one. Right. So, here we go. I went back after I created the first 5 scenes and the first 5 scene images. I went back and asked it to turn this creation into a website and deploy it permanently. And it went ahead and said I can create a website to showcase the concept images. However, I cannot deploy it permanently. I can provide you with the website files and you can deploy them to your preferred hosting service. And they gave me a rundown of that it would be created in React. They integrated the images and design of the website. They built the React application and delivered the website files for user. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not front-end engineer in any sort of way. So Manus was able to do this all for me. See, again, in Ubuntu. Now, I'm not complaining that it was done in Ubuntu, because here it's creating the images for me, and it's all creating this in stored files and folders on this Ubuntu storage device. And then again, of course, they've set it up in a local host. Now, it was able to do the whole thing for me in a matter of minutes. That's what I'm also trying to say. It was being once from process of starting the storytelling process to creating the story first, to revising the story, to then creating the scenes. This whole process took around about 30 minutes, I'd say. Then to develop this website took another, I'd say, 3 or 4 minutes. It was pretty fast. And as you can see, it said, yeah, I've successfully created a professional website to showcase your Arthur Penningham concept art. The website features a professional design, clean, modern layout with responsive design, interactive gallery, click images to view in full size, mobile friendly, works perfectly on all devices, style information, detailed explanation of the artistic blend, character background, complete introduction to Arthur Penningham. I think I messed up that surname. That family name got me there. Any case, it was able to package it all up, even by offering a deployment guide. And here you can see it is the through the Ubuntu installation there, they've created a zip file, and you can see that because it says tar.gz. And further on, it was also able to create for me a markdown file of all the instructions. Now this markdown file shows me how to deploy it to Netlify, Vercel, GitHub Pages, Surge SH, traditional web hosting, and also local testing. So if I was to just open it up in VS Code, so let me see, I've done it here in VS Code for some reason. If I can just bring this over. So here you go, you can see it's over here. This is the index.html file right here. There's the favicon, and they use their own favicon, the Manus AI favicon, and the assets are all there in place. You're able to view this through, I guess, through the local server on my machine. So if I just click open live server, by the way, if nobody knew this, this is Visual Studio Code, VS Code. I just downloaded it and installed it on my machine. I added the live server extension for that, and then what I've done here is just copied the entire files and folders into a directory. I've right clicked here and clicked open with live server, and as you can see, there we go. There is the live server, the live website on my local machine, and it's named it Arthur Penningham Concept Art Showcases. It's given me a character introduction. It's giving me the artistic style blend, which they said they would do, 3D Pixar CGI, Japanese anime.
If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notifications bell so you won't miss more easy tips like this. And hey, drop a comment if you have any questions or want me to cover something specific. I'm here to help.